Hey everybody, welcome to my Ninja Turtles channel. We are going to be joined tonight by a legend, a true legend, one of the original guys behind the TMNT, one of the original Mirage studios. He's a writer, he's an artist. We're talking about Dan Berger. He's a legend, and he's joining us tonight. So I'm excited. Hold on to your shell, hit the like button, get excited, and let's go! Welcome to my Ninja Turtles channel. It's 9 p.m. in the Big Apple. This is the Ninja Turtles show, and Dan Berger is hanging out. Your weekly live stream every Turtle Tuesday. We talk about old turtles, new turtles, whatever the shell we want. And we are celebrating tonight. Everybody is celebrating. I'm yelling. I've already blown out my voice and we're just getting started. I'm dancing. Let's get some pizza slices in the chat. Type a T for turtles if you like the Ninja Turtles. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. We're speaking to a real legend tonight. Dan Berger is one of the original guys that worked on the Turtles, one of the original creators with Mirage Studios. So make sure to go follow him over on X, Dan Berger Inc. And on Instagram as well, Dan Berger Inc. He's one of the original OG creators of the Ninja Turtles. And I am honored that he's going to be here tonight. We're giving him a 21 pizza salute. All the Mirage Studios guys. And we're typing T, of course. T in the chat. T for Turtles. And T for thank you to Dan Berger for joining us. Like I said, make sure to go follow him on social media. Show him some love. Tell him thank you for joining us all here on my Ninja Turtles channel. We're set to talk in just 2 minutes, so I've timed this perfectly. Thank you all for joining me. I hope things are going well out there. Hope my internet is going well. I had some internet problems last stream. I've redone everything. I was ripping cables out of the ground. I'm redoing cables. I'm knocking down telephone poles. I'm knocking people out at the internet company. I'm picking fights with people in a public place. It's very unprofessional. But I'm doing it because I needed good internet to talk to Dan Berger tonight because I'm very excited. And I hope you guys are excited as well. First time speaking with one of the guys from Mirage Studios. And I'm excited. I already botched the intro a little bit. I stumbled over a few words right in the intro. That's how you want to come out of the gate. Stumbling over a few words. My excitement is palpable, and I hope you guys are excited as well. I think we all are excited. So thank you all for joining me. I do appreciate it. We're going to get this thing started and see what's going on. So we're going to see what's going on. Oh, and Dan is already here. What a professional guy. Let me get this out of here. Let me get him on screen. We are live with Dan Berger. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through? Oh, Dan's working out some audio issues. Maybe he's checking his audio. I can see you, but I can't hear you. You may have to check your audio input and output. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Well, you're looking good, nevertheless. Maybe we could just look at you. We'll just look at you and give you compliments for 30 minutes. This is a nice interview. This might be a little bit better. He's got a cool Ninja Turtles type shirt on.
The joys of modern technology.
Oh, there we go. There it was me the whole time. I'm an idiot and I apologize.
Were you muted?
I had not joined audio. I joined video, but not audio somehow. I'm an amateur here.
You could choose one or the other.
Yeah, I'm an amateur apparently. My bad. I'm telling you what to do, and the whole time it was me. What a rough start. What an appropriate start. I'm tripping over myself already. Thank you so much for joining me, Dan. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, of course. Like I said in the intro, I don't know if you heard that rambling intro.
I heard nothing.
Oh, okay. I didn't have the audio. I'm starting off strong already. Way to be.
I know the feeling.
But yeah, just you're a legend from Mirage Studios, one of the OG original creators of the Ninja Turtles. You were one of the first employees at Mirage Studios back in the 80s, right? So you've been
Well,
around for a
no.
while.
Let's see. I think I became official employee in 91. I moved up in 89. And by then, Ryan Brown and Jim Lawson, Steve Levine, of course, those guys were already there. I believe Michael Dooney came about maybe a couple weeks before me. So I was like, and Eric Talbot was already there, I believe. So I was like one of the last guys in the door.
Oh,
But
okay.
that was like 1990, I think I started doing stuff for Mirage.
How did you first hear about the Turtles? Did you first hear about them when it was just like the original first few issues was like a comic book sensation? Were you aware of them that way, or were you aware of them through your friends?
Through I don't know how old you are. There was a comic book newspaper called CBG, which was Comics Buyer's Guide, and Don and Maggie Thompson ran that for Alan Light way back in the day, and Don Thompson wrote reviews, and he loved the first issue of the Turtles. And so, I liked some independent comics. I like Cerebus, and so he was raving about the Turtles, and I wanted to find it, but you couldn't find it. I think it wasn't until I'm pretty sure number three, and I used to go to comic shops with Ryan Brown looking for stuff, and I think it wasn't until number three came out that I could actually get like the third print of number one, and probably the second print of number two, and then the first print of number three. So I was looking for it from the start, but it sold out everywhere.
Yeah, it was a hit. And you were in that northeastern region. It was like a big regional hit up there. And you got
Well,
your
I was in Ohio at the time.
Oh, you were in Ohio, and then you moved.
Yeah.
That's when you moved up there. Was in '90. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you got your foot in the door. You were an artist, of course. You grew up doing art and everything, but you got your foot in the door like as a regular business employee. You worked in the mailroom at first.
Yeah. I just, Steve Murphy and Ryan Brown were running the TMNT adventures for Archie Comics. And they wanted to write because they got a lot of mail and they wanted to write back to the kids. And so fortunately, Kevin and Pete were up to hire me to, send postcards back to all the kids that sent mail into the TMNT Adventures comic, which was a blast. Because when I was a little kid, I wrote a letter to Stan Lee at Marvel Comics, and I got back a postcard from Marvel Comics, and I had that thing pinned to my bulletin board my whole life, basically, so that I got a chance to send kids postcards that wrote to the Turtles was just cool beyond belief.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's such a cool story. How it was just like an indie sensation, and it just kind of blew up, and it seems like it was almost like a bunch of friends and acquaintances all just got together, and you guys just like cranked out comics. And so you started in the mailroom. What was like the first creative work you did? Was it with Archie?
Yes, Archie number 8. I inked that over Ken Mitchroney, and which was another amazing thing because I was a huge fan of Ken's work. He had done a comic called Space Arc, self-published that. Well, actually, I'm not positive it was self-published, but it was a black and white indie comic. So when I got to work on his stuff, it was like, oh, it can't get any better. You get to work on the Turtles,
Oh
and then
yeah.
you get to work with somebody whose work you already, loved. So it was just crazy. The whole thing was crazy.
Yeah, it was like a big it was like Beatlemania kind of thing, Turtle Mania, just swept the nation, swept the world.
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. Thanks again so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is cool. I think it's really nice that you were available to talk and everything, and everyone that's going to be watching this is a big fan, and all the Mirage Studios guys are big heroes. So hopefully my tech problems in the beginning didn't sour the whole interview. I've only done 5 or 10 of these, so I'm sorry if I'm
Out
a
of here.
total amateur. And you created Murdude, is that correct? Did you create that in the comics or just for the action figure?
Well, what we were doing is back in the day, Playmates basically opened the door, and Mirage and Kevin and Peter also opened the door to the guys at the studio to send in ideas for toys. So we would just, as soon as you had an idea, draw it up as fast as you could and fax it to Playmates Toys. And I was talking to Ryan recently, and I didn't remember this at all, but apparently Playmates had sent a list of like popular concepts at the time that they thought you could branch off and do turtle characters based on. So apparently on that list was The Little Mermaid. And so apparently I used that as the jumping point for Murdude.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah,
that
I
was
don't
kind
remember it, but it happened, I guess.
yeah, as long that was probably right when the Little Mermaid cartoon came out, so that was big at the time and good thing to.
It must be.
Did you create any other figures? Did you create any other action figures, or was Murdude the main one?
Murdered is the one. Ryan and I had submitted this Executioner Weasel, and then Mike Dooney ended up doing an Executioner Ant, and because of weird politics, I ended up, I think, maybe with my name on that Anthrax toy box, but that was all Michael Dooney's doing. I had nothing to do with that. And I think apparently Ryan told me I created the stool pigeon that ended up being Scratch the Cat's sidekick toy. It's the little
Hmm.
tiny 2-inch tall one for anyone that's not watching YouTube. The little yellow stool pigeon. I guess I submitted that as its own character, and then they put it in with Scratch.
Yeah, you guys were cranking it out back then. It was like you guys had the Midas touch, and there was just a flurry of activity, and anything you guys did, it seems like it was popular for one reason or another. And
Just Kevin and Peter had the Midas touch. I mean, they're the guys that were, instrumental, obviously, in everything that happened. And we're just lucky we got to go along for the ride.
so you started in about 1990, and Kevin and Peter had a little, I mean, they have did they have tension at that point? Obviously, they were working separately. Had they already like essentially broken up as a creative partnership? They were.
Well, but when I got there in 1990, I think the guys had just come back from the movie set. And so, Kevin and Pete were still around, but they were already just embroiled in, paperwork and office work. And so at that point, yeah, it was, they didn't have time to be involved in the comics like they wanted to be. And I've told this story before, Pete would come in and he'd leave with a stack of papers like 6 inches high of contracts and other stuff that he would have to take home and read. And it was constant because everything was booming so fast, and particularly after the movie hit. But yeah, I mean, I never hung out a lot with Kevin in those days because by I think 91 he had started Tundra, maybe 92 he had started Tundra, so he was already working on Tundra stuff. And Mirage was upstairs in this factory building, and Kevin ended up taking over the bottom floor of that building for Tundra. But I didn't see Kevin too much early on.
Yeah, they were busy, and yeah, I didn't know if they were ever like in the office together, and there was like tension if they were fighting
Well,
or something.
we had
But
weekly meetings, and they were both there. I didn't see any tension. No, they other than the tension they had from having to run a business,
yeah,
but
they
I
were
didn't see anything between the two of them that indicated any trouble.
just slammed with work. They were slammed with proposals and contracts and cash. They were swimming in their cash like Scrooge McDuck. That was their big the tension on how to spend all the money. But
There you go.
you ended up doing the daily comic strip in newspapers, which I really, really love. I read all of them a couple years back. I think there's like 1,600 or 1,700 daily strips. And I love the comic strip format. It's like, it's got 4 panels and you have to do the setup and you got to move the story forward and end with like a little punchline at the end. And they're all just so lean. Like there's no fluff. There's nowhere to hide in the writing and the art. And
Yes, I will stress attempted punchlines because I don't know how often I was successful. But there again, that was another thing that started when we first started. Ryan was penciling that, and Steve Murphy was writing it, and I was inking it, and who was lettering it? I think actually I was trying to letter it, and then Ryan right away figured out like within 2 weeks he couldn't keep up with the daily deadlines. So then Jim Lawson came in as a penciler. So I didn't start doing it by myself for boy, a couple of years, 2, 3 years probably. And then everyone got tired of doing it.
yeah,
And I
that's
ended up with
tough.
it in my lap.
That is tough. Yeah, I mean, to crank out even a comic strip a day with a punchline and move the story forward, it's such a muscle to be able to tell a story in 4 panels instead of having the full space of a comic book or, a full episode of a TV show or something. It really it's lean and mean.
Yeah.
Did you did you see the bootleg collection that came out like a year or two ago? Someone
I
collected the
did
3
not.
books.
Jim Lawson sent me a link. I think they were selling them on Amazon briefly.
Hmm.
I didn't order one.
Yeah, I don't know who put that bootleg thing together, but I heard, it's pretty cool to have it all in physical collection, have it all together. I'm not sure if those were like archived anywhere at the time, but
No, I mean, IDW has been wanting to reprint them for years and years, and I've just been telling them, we didn't archive them, and I've got a bunch of, I got a couple stacks of originals, but nowhere near a complete run, and so yeah, trying to do a collected seemed impossible. But then recently, I don't remember who they talked to, but someone had a CD-ROM in their desk that had all the dailies, but none of the Sundays. So I don't know what's going to happen if they're going to try to collect that or not. But then I told IDW the Sundays were always fan art. The only mail the comic strip generated was, fan art. So when we first began the Sundays, Steve Murphy would do like green tips and activity things and fan art. And then we just got inundated with fan art. We'd get boxes and boxes of fan art. So we're like, I guess we should just make the Sundays fan art, which I'm sure some people hated, but that's what the kids loved. So we just kept doing it.
Probably made a lot of kids really happy. I'm sure there's a bunch of kids. Well, they're probably more grown up now, but I bet that made their whole life complete. That made their day. Their art was in the newspaper.
Yeah, I would have been psyched had I been a kid and it happened. We got to see your drawing in the paper.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. That's really cool that you guys did that and shared. You shared your comic space. You could have just printed new panels and done new stories, but instead you shared it with the kids. That was cool to give back like that.
Yeah, well, as a secret, it's also easier to do the fan art because you don't have to.
And you didn't have to write or draw anything.
It's art and do the color guide, and then so I've always thought it was very cheesy that we did it, but I didn't. I also just on like as a cop out of doing actual Sunday comic strips.
Were you doing 6 original strips per week? Otherwise, was it printed 7 days a week?
It ended up Saturdays even became fan art.
Saturdays as well,
because it was so popular. So most of the time, all I did was Monday through Friday, and then the weekends were fan art. Because and the thing that creators didn't complain. So because that's what I was thinking too. It's like, well, I guess it must be okay because you would think that the syndicate would complain if it was just always fan art, but it generated so much mail that it was what we did.
Yeah, kids loved it. You guys were like rock stars to kids back then.
I guess, yeah. The Turtles were the stars.
The Turtles were the stars. Yeah, it's tough being a comic artist, isn't it? I mean, you're kind of behind the scenes. It's like a thankless job to an extent. I mean, you had like an army of 8-year-olds that loved you, but you can go out on the street, you don't get recognized. It was probably kind of nice. You had the some of the notoriety without any of the hassles of the fame.
Yeah, I liked it because I've always said I want to be rich. I don't want to be famous. I never got to be either, but definitely anonymity I prefer over because when you see what celebrities have to deal with because they're famous, I wouldn't want to have to stay home all the time, even if you got a 50-room mansion.
Yeah,
I like going to Walmart and Burger King and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to just be a regular guy and blend in. Peter was like already married at that when the Turtles took off in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know the precise dates, but Emily, his daughter, was born right around the time of that first movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think within a year or two. So he definitely was married. Yeah.
And Peter's a grandpa now. He's the wise old master Splinter.
Yes.
It's cool. What was it like? I guess all the guys at Mirage Studios, like Kevin was obviously he was like the lead rock star. He was the lead singer if you guys were all rock stars. Yeah. So he was living large at the time. Was it like crazy to be around that? Was it ever like a frenzy, or would he ever go on like some binge like he's a rapper or something?
I do not know because when Kevin was living that lifestyle, he was working at Tundra by then. And Mirage and Tundra were, a lot of people think they were the same company, but they were not. Tundra was very definitely Kevin's company. And, Mirage was Kevin and Pete's company. So and it was, even though we were in the same building, I didn't really go downstairs to Tundra's offices. And Tundra itself, that was just a beehive of crazy activity because they were doing so many projects and so many people were in and out all the time at Tundra. And yeah, it was crazy. I'm a hermit. And antisocial isn't, I guess, what's the term where you're just
I know what you mean. You just want introverted.
I'm an introvert. So yeah, I basically just stayed home and drew. I didn't see any of the fun stuff.
Kevin was having all the fun for everybody.
Well, yeah, supposedly they had some massive parties for Tundra UK. So
nice. Was did any of the guys at Mirage Studios, did any of you guys get like out of control? I know it's like it probably went from 0 to 100 really fast. Like was there, I mean, I know you guys weren't like rolling in money or anything, but like you get a big check or something, no one went too crazy or anything?
Well, we got very generous Christmas bonuses, and one year that totally saved me because I hadn't paid any taxes, and the Christmas bonus bailed me out on the taxes I hadn't paid. So that was a godsend of generosity from Kevin and Peter. But yeah, I mean, overall, we were just a bunch of comic book guys.
Hmm.
And so, the way we had fun is we went toy shopping. You know,
Yeah,
we
that's
weren't doing, whatever, the rock and roll guy stuff.
sounds a little more fun to me and a little more sustainable as well. You
Yeah,
guys, most
yeah,
of you guys are still around to talk about it, so that's good. So you did the comic strip for a while, and you worked on Archie, and then eventually you did comic number 45 in volume 1. You did
right.
Leatherhead, the story Leatherhead 2.
Yes,
So it was cool to have a full comic written and drawn by you in Mirage volume 1, like
yes. Very fortunate that I got to do that.
and that was your comic was like the end of the guest era. Your comic was like the first one, like
What was
return.
that? Mine was 45. So yeah, then I think they did the City at War prequel after that, and then City at War. Yep.
Yeah, I read that yours was like the return to doing it was like the end of the guest era, and it was like return to doing everything in house with the Mirage staff. Did that come about just naturally, or was it like a special issue they wanted to tell, or did you know it at
Yeah,
the
that'd be a
time?
good question for Kevin and Pete. We Mirage did have weekly staff meetings for years, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the kind of thing that got discussed at the staff meeting over
Hmm.
time, or that we should bring it back in house. Let's bring it back in house, and by then maybe Peter and Kevin had some extra time that they could actually sit down together and plot everything out.
Yeah,
And
I guess that was 92, so the second movie had come out, and yeah, maybe they had a little more time on their hands. I love that comic, by the way. I love issue 45. I love the way you
oh,
draw the turtles. You draw
thank you.
you have the comic strip style where they're simplified and they're very cartoony and expressive, like a comic strip style. And then in the actual comic book, it's like a very mature, dark style, almost a horror look for the turtles. They have like 100 teeth. They
Yeah,
look like sharks almost, and it's a really, it's like a really scary, jarring look. It's awesome.
that was my grim and gritty phase.
Oh yeah, it
Next
was
issue.
very moody, the angsty phase you went through.
Yes, yeah. I
Um,
mean, my problem with art is I like so much wide variance of stuff, and my influences are weird, and so I never ended up with a cohesive style. I've been all over the place trying to do different stuff, and none of it really gelled to like a perfection.
the definitive Dan style.
Right.
I love the story in that issue too. It's cool that you wrote an android. I love the like bittersweet ending. At the end of the comic, Leatherhead is like alone and he's struggling with the fact he's alone, and the turtles feel bad for him, and they realize that they're alone as well. But then at least they have
Right.
each other, and it's like that perfect melancholy but like hopeful ending. That's my favorite type of turtles, is when it's like bleak and they're isolated and like depressed that they're all alone. That's my favorite type of turtle. So
I wrote
love
a
that
lot
issue.
of bleak stories for the turtles, so I'm on your wavelength.
Yeah, I love it. Other people like the more upbeat stuff or the like action. I like the family dynamic and just that they're struggling with their existence in the world. That's my favorite
Yeah.
type of turtle story.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
So that
Trying to identify them as actual individuals instead of just action heroes is one of the things I was trying to do, is like, you know, what would they actually feel like as opposed to just constantly fighting.
yeah, even you can't be a superhero all the time. They got to go home and decompress, and it's really well written. So love that issue.
And
I
brood. You got to brood.
love it when they're brooding, especially with all those teeth. They look angsty. It's like a very gothic kind of look. So that was volume 1, and then volume 2 is pretty much all Jim Lawson. And
Yes.
you were doing the comic strip in the mid to late 90s. And what happened to the Mirage Studios crew during the Image run in the late 90s? Did you guys all go your separate ways a little bit? Like, was it nice to have a little break?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you remember what year that started? Because
I think Image is 96 to 99
so in
after volume.
'97 they started that live action series,
Mm-hmm.
The Next Mutation. So we
Mm-hmm.
were still doing weekly meetings. Everybody was still around.
Oh, you guys were all involved behind the scenes for the TV show.
No one really worked on the shows. I think they opened up some character design stuff because I was just going through some original art today, and I submitted 3 different designs for, excuse me, shoot, I don't remember. The Dragon Lord had a weird little puppet sidekick.
Yeah,
So
Wick.
they had opened up, asking for submissions for things for the show. So I think people were allowed to submit character ideas and stuff, but I don't think anybody really worked on any plotting or anything like that.
You guys were still just having Mirage Studios licensing meetings and just doing office stuff. All this time you were doing office stuff as well. You still had your corporate day job to an extent,
Yep.
keeping the wheels turning at Mirage Studios behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
As best we could, yeah. And that's, another reason, Kevin and Pete did the next mutation is because there was I never remember, but I think there was at least 12 or 15 people maybe working for Mirage by that time. So the next mutation, which I know isn't a lot of people's favorite, but one of the reasons that it happened was to try to keep the machine going and everybody could maintain their lifestyles and their jobs. So
Yeah, they did a really good job building a franchise and building a business as well from the ground up, like a startup or something. They did it from square one and they rediscovered everything. And they did a lot for comic book publishers. And I know they did the creators' rights thing. So they were hustling on all angles. It was really amazing how entrepreneurial they were in hindsight.
yes, and totally never expecting it to happen. I mean, they were just psyched. Pete said it in a lot of interviews where, they couldn't believe it when the comic book sold well enough that they could focus all their energy on making the comic book. And so all this other stuff that happened must have been so mind-boggling, it's not even comprehensible.
Yeah, they really struck gold, and they didn't back away for any challenge. They went for it. They took advantage of every opportunity. It's really cool. And the great run continued after Y2K. The 2003 show came on the air, and Volume 4 was a lot of Jim Lawson and Peter Laird, and Tales of the TMNT Volume 2 started a couple years after that. And you were involved in a lot of Tales of the TMNT Volume 2. I think you wrote or drew like 20 issues or something like that.
Good question. I don't know if it's quite that many. I wrote more than I drew, that's for sure, because Jim drew a lot of the issues that I wrote. But yeah, that was another thing. At a certain point, it was decided that Tales Volume 2 should be done in-house as much as possible. And so once I became managing editor, I ended up writing a lot of scripts because I was in-house and I was submitting ideas to me.
You were
Pete had to approve everything. But that's how it happened that I wrote so much, is because, Mirage's CEO, Gary Richardson, wanted to keep stuff in-house.
Yeah, you were cranking it out. You were a writer, an artist, an editor. You were doing corporate stuff. You were spinning a lot of plates, and it's really amazing that Mirage Studios did. I mean, you guys were doing wonderful stuff, and big fan of all that Tales of the TMNT Volume 2. And one of my top 3 favorite Turtles issues is Tales of the TMNT 55, A Day in the Life.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. When people asked me, I cheated because often they ask me, like, what are your favorite issues that you worked on? And I can't remember, but 55 is definitely one of my favorites.
Is that one that people bring up a lot? Is there like a specific issue that people bring up to you as like their favorite or it's special most of the time?
That one, not really. The brooding, grim ones, 65, which was Cold Ice, which was the story of this foot mystic trying to conjure these demons to kill the turtles so that he could save his family, and he fails. And then 69 is Dark Shadows, which is Future Shadow, and that's really grim.
In the future.
The grim ones are the ones that people like, of what I worked on.
Oh, yeah, great stuff.
I love 55 because it's like nothing happens, but you get a good insight to the characters of the turtles.
Yeah, it's just a day in the life of the turtles. They wake up and like have breakfast and train, and there's a little story about like Michelangelo taking a stuffed animal from Raph, and then he gets it back, and at the end of the issue, they're in the future and they're missing each other, and another melancholy, bittersweet ending. So very well done again.
Thank you.
Well, after that, the late 2009, the Turtles were sold to Nickelodeon, and it was kind of a new chapter. Was that tough at first? Like, were you sad or surprised or anything when the Turtles were sold to Nickelodeon, when Peter sold the rest?
We knew Pete was trying to sell it for years, so it wasn't like when it finally happened, it was like, oh, damn, it finally happened. But it wasn't a shock. And, but, whatever. I mean, we all knew we weren't going to be there until we could retire, but it was still like, oh, darn, we can't be here until we retire. But, Pete took care of everybody. We all, he took care of everyone exceptionally well. So while it was shocking to a degree, it was also like, well, all good things come to an end at some point.
Yeah, not a complete surprise, but still a little bit tough. And it was probably nice to have a little break or have some space. But did you keep working with Mirage Studios? I know they like formally closed in 2021, so they continued operations for like a
Yeah, well,
decade.
I ended up for geez, because Mirage had all the toys and comics and everything. There was a basement space below Mirage that was just floor to ceiling of all the toys and comics and the archives. And so we started selling stuff on eBay. And so I did that shoot for 10 years or something. We were selling stuff on eBay out of the Mirage archives. And so that was my part-time job for 10 years was eBay listings for Mirage.
Oh, we'll add that writer, artist, and eBay user.
Yes.
One more title on the business card. It's probably nice
That's the most impressive one.
Oh yeah, proficient eBay aficionado. That's the put that first before writer and artist. Did you like pick up any other work? Did you do like freelance work? I read online that you did like topical like political cartoons. Is that
Yeah,
true?
that's just one of the many freelance things I did. And, just was approached by Mike Adams, who had his naturalnews.com website. And, I was just a hired gun. He wrote them and I drew them. And, and I would get some angry emails sometimes. And I would get people asking me if they could use the cartoons. And I'm like, Mike wrote it, write to Mike. It's his thing. I just draw it. I just work here kind of a thing.
You just draw it, yeah. That's cool. That's nice to have a little bit of a different style of work separate from the Turtles, just doing like topical cultural stuff for political cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a mercenary if you want to, put the food on the table. So anything that came around, and still, to this day, I try to do as much freelance as I can, just
And
because, you have to.
you're still doing like commissions and conventions and everything like that?
Commission, sadly, this is how do I make this a short story? I had a bunch of surgeries from 2014 to 2017. And as a side effect of that, I was in two different surgeries for 6 hours and they had me, I can't do it because I have frozen shoulders, but my arms were way up for 6 hours at a time. So I wound up with nerve damage in my left arm. So I can't, my motors, I shake now and my motor skills are not what they were. So I can't do commissions other than like head sketches because my motor skills are shot.
Well, I'm
So
sure you're.
commissions not so much, but what saves me is I've got an iPad and Procreate, which is an awesome little app that art app.
Mhm.
And that's got a setting with the brushes where you can draw a line and just hold the pencil, and then it makes a really nice straight line without all the. Because if I draw normally, I'm almost like Charles Schultz at the end of his run on Peanuts, where the lines just all jaggedy, which drives me crazy because I always liked super clean brush lines, and yeah, those days are gone for me now. So
Yeah,
I can do
drawing.
digital commissions, but I can't like stuff on paper. It's just like head sketches now.
Yeah, drawing seems to just be really, really tough on the body. A lot of people wrecks their hand and stuff, and can be really tough.
Yeah, you gotta do it right from the beginning. And when you're young, it doesn't matter because you don't notice it. And then once you get old, and then then it's kind of too late because you can always change your practices. But yeah, I mean the ideal thing is if you can learn to work at basically like an easel and keep your back straight and not because that's another problem I have is I'm doing PT to try to help my shoulders and my natural posture is like this hunched over thing and I'm trying to like okay learn how to sit like a normal human being, but
Yeah, that's
not
tough.
going so well.
It's a very physical occupation. People don't think of that when they think about drawing, but it takes lots of time and you're drawing all day, 40 hours a week or more, and can do a number on you.
Yes, yeah, I
Um,
remember Mark Martin who did some work for Mirage. He did a comic strip in the Comics Buyer's Guide. And he's like, so you want to be an artist? Practice this. And like one of the first things was like, grip a pencil as hard as you can for 8 hours a day. And and sadly, yeah, that's what I did. I mean, if you have proper technique, you're not holding, but I have a death grip when I'm drawing, and yeah, that's not good.
well, was it after the sale to Nickelodeon? Did you keep up with the Turtles? I mean, you guys were a little bit more distant from the Turtles than you had been. Did
Yes,
you?
I am sad to say no, I have not. I should have because I've seen so much. I mean, I've seen IDW books and art and covers, and it's all, it's amazingly cool stuff. But in general, I quit reading comics 15 years ago. I used to go to the comic shop with the Mirage guys and I'd just buy stuff to look at it. And the comic shop owner made fun of me because I never read anything. I just looked at it. but I hate reading stuff because I'm afraid, you'll take ideas, and definitely don't want to be taking somebody else's idea.
You were too busy. You were too busy creating for all those years,
Well, yeah,
and
brooding. Don't want,
too busy to read other people's stuff. Yeah, I was thinking about the comic strip. It's like you're one of the most prolific writers, and you've done like the most stories. Even if they're just 4 panels long, it's like one of them. That's a big body of work, and in addition to all the editorial stuff, and you had your hands on a lot. And in addition to doing the script or art or both for Tales of the TMNT Volume 2, I was totaling it all up. Getting ready for this, I was looking through everything. It's a huge body of work. It's very impressive. So very, very nice.
Doesn't
And
seem like that much. I mean, Jim Lawson, man, that guy's got a body of work. Because holy cow, he's done so much stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just I was lucky. It was an honor. I loved the Turtles long, years before I got to work for the Turtles. And was it years? It was close to years. And so yeah, it's very surreal. And now that I'm old and I'm 10 years removed, well, I guess 10 years removed from publishing anyways, it seems like, wow, did that really happen? But
it's like a dream. Yeah, it's a different life. It's amazing. It was
yes.
30 years ago. I know they're celebrating the 40th anniversary. 40th anniversary. They're doing the special, and you're doing a cover for that and a cover for Black, White, and Green as well.
Yeah, for IDW was the black, white, and green. I did one of the variants, and then Ralph, who's running that Portsmouth Minicon, the 40th anniversary show, I did a cover for him because he's doing like, geez, just about everybody at the show I think is doing a variant cover. So yeah.
It's really nice. I've been seeing all the 40th anniversary special covers coming out from all the old people. I saw one from like Eric Talbot, Michael Dooney did one, and all the old guys from Mirage Studios. And it's cool to see you guys all still cranking out work. It'd be nice to get you guys. Are you all going to be at that? Is that con coming up? Is that
Yes.
the 40th anniversary? It's in a couple of weeks, but the convention's in end of April.
Yep, I think let's see, I'm leaving on the 24th, I think. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, not this weekend, but next weekend.
In Portsmouth. And you guys are all getting together. The old crew is going to be back together.
Yeah, just about everybody. I don't know. I mean, Pete is not a formal guest. I don't know if he can make it or not. It'd be awesome if he could, but boy, yeah. I mean, Kevin will be there, Steve will be there, Eric's there, Mike's there, Jim's there.
The whole crew. Well, I got to say, I just wanted to say thank you for all your contributions to the Ninja Turtles, and brought a lot of happiness to fans. You brought a lot of happiness to me reading your stories, and I recommend all the issues we talked about, Tales of the TMNT 55, all the old comic strips. I recommend it all. Even Volume 1, Issue 45. Really good stuff from Dan Berger. And it's pronounced Berger, right? Have I been saying it wrong this whole time?
No, it is Berger.
Okay, I like triple check, but I was still scaring myself in my head that I was saying it wrong this whole time.
Yeah, it's what I always tell people is, it's Berger, but with an E.
Nice. Well, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again. Everyone in the chat has been watching live. They've been sending in questions, and let me read a couple chats here, and we'll let you go if that's okay.
That's great.
Someone in here, I saw Rob. He has a Ninja Turtles podcast as well. Rob from Turtles Forever podcast had a question. What did he say here? I'm scrolling for it. Everyone is sending you pizza slices in the chat. A lot of enthusiasm.
I like that.
Rob says, what was one of the most rewarding experiences you've had as a TMNT creator?
Oh boy. Well, getting to do number 45. I mean, that was crazy. The first, so that was probably the most rewarding. Just to be a part of Volume 1 is just an honor. And then, Mirage did a portfolio before I got there, and then they did a second portfolio. And when they invited me to be in that second portfolio, I was really like, whoa, I'm part of Mirage for real. So that was really cool. So I'd say, yeah, number 45 and the second Mirage portfolio were the things that really made me feel like, wow, I am part of this.
Yeah, you were definitely one of the OG creators of the Ninja Turtles. Like you said, you may have gotten on the ship in 1990, but you were a part of the original core group, all those original guys, and definitely had a huge impact on my life and Ninja Turtle fans all over the world. And wanted to say sorry for the technical problems at the beginning. I was doing your intro. I was talking you up. You're a legend. I'm so honored to speak with you, and it's been so great. You've been so generous with your time, and we're also thankful to have all your comics and for you spending some time with us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure, and thank everyone for the support. We all really appreciate it. None of us would be where we are without you guys. So thank you.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm going to tell everyone to follow Dan Berger Inc. on Twitter and Instagram, Dan Berger Inc. And check out danberger.biz if you'd like to check out his website. All the links are in the description of the video. And just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Thanks again, Dan. Have a great night. Appreciate your time.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye. Oh, well, is that okay, guys? Can we get a round of applause? Can we get a T in the chat? T for thank you, T for turtles. Wow. Dan Berger, Mirage Studios, writer, artist, editor, businessman, eBay aficionado. Was that an okay interview? What a nice guy. I screwed up my audio at the beginning. What an amateur. I screwed it up. I don't know what he heard, what he didn't hear. I guess that's the way it goes sometimes, but he was very nice and very generous. Make sure to go follow him on social media. Go check out Dan Berger Inc. on X and Instagram. Leave him a comment. Tell him you said thanks. Tell him I checked out your interview on My Ninja Turtles channel, and you were very articulate. Compared to My Ninja Turtles channel, you were very articulate. Oh, those interviews are tough. I never know how much to say. I'm kind of read the guy's story beforehand, but you want to let him tell his own story. So go follow him over on Twitter and X. Go follow him on Instagram and tell him thanks, and you watched the interview and you enjoyed it. One of the original Mirage Studios greats. Dan Berger. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried to get to some questions. I got to Rob's questions. I ran out of time. I only have that cheap 40-minute version of the interview software. I saw Tatu Ruzu's question. It's a good question from Tatu Ruzu about did they keep it all in-house for Tales Volume 2 because of the drama with Volume 1. Well, it's nice to open the window. Let me get my tea out here. We're just cooling down now. Hopefully that was okay. I screwed up the audio at the beginning. What an amateur. What an amateur move. But hopefully I was coming through okay. Hopefully you guys could hear us okay. Really nice guy. Really generous with his time. And they're also humble. I think when you're in comics, you don't really ever get to interface with the fans. There's, like he said, you're never famous to an extent. You're a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. So they all have this humility. You know, he's just a humble guy talking to me, just guy to guy. So, really nice, really grateful, really generous with his time. Dan Berger, what a hero, what a legend. Writer, artist, editor, Mirage Studios. TMNT, Volume 1, Issue 45. 1,600 daily comic strips. Bunch of stuff in the Archie Adventures comics. Creator of Murdude. Wonder if he created the action figure as well. I bet he got a nice check. Bunch of stuff in Tales of the TMNT Volume 2. And like I said, one of my top 3 favorite comics. Tales of the TMNT Volume 2, Issue 55. I was nervous talking to him about that. The comic means a lot to me. It's my favorite. Well, I think that's about it. Thank you all for joining me. JR24, Miss Aori, Mr. Turtle, Nordic Frost, Tato Ruzu, Yashike. Thank you all. Rob, Raz Rentals, of course. JR24, bonjour. Hopefully I did an okay job, you guys. I was nervous. That was my first guy from Mirage Studios. I'm coming up in the world. Okay? It's my first interview. I'm going to have many more interviews with the Mirage Studios guys. This is just the first. I'm here. I'm interviewing people. I'm asking awkward, uncomfortable questions about stuff that happened 30 years ago and no one can get away from me. Who am I like? I'm like Larry King. I'm like Howard Stern or something. I'm like Joe Rogan. I need to get a background of the Joe Rogan experience and put me as a guest in the Joe Rogan experience. Or whatever. Well, that's enough. Hope you guys had a good night. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. T in the chat. T for thank you. T for turtles. T for thank you to Dan Berger. What a guy. What a nice guy. I feel not worthy. I feel humbled. I feel like a burden to him. I'm not worthy of his time. He's a hero. He's a legend. Forgot to ask him if the title was clickbaity enough. Dan Berger, Mirage Studios, writer, artist, and legend. Well, that's it. I've said it all. Perhaps I've said too much. Just wanted to say thank you. Round of applause for all you guys. JR24 says, I hope I can interview Kevin and Peter. I would like to do that too. I would like to be the guy to interview Kevin and Peter. Well, hopefully everything came through okay today. Hopefully no internet problems. I did a bunch of stuff to my internet. It was going nuts trying to fix my internet. So hopefully that all worked. I've said it all. Thank you all for joining me. I might have a special surprise this Friday. Perhaps I'm going on a date with someone. Perhaps a live stream date with someone this Friday, but we'll just wait and see. If not, I'll see you back here next Turtle Tuesday for the weekly live stream. Thank you all so much for joining me. T's in the chat. Pizza Slices in the chat. Dan Berger, we salute you. Thank you. I've said it all. One thing left to say. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment and share this video. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Ninja Turtles videos like this.